I'm not sure. It's like, um,
Okay, we're live now. Hi, this is Jim Molin. Welcome, folks. This is Jim Molin. If you are part of this program, please don't hesitate to send in a chat or ask a question by email. I'm waiting for my co-host to show up. This is our first time using this particular program. Let me just double check right now. Michelle Simmons, are you there?
yes, I am.
Okay. Julie, are you there? I guess Julie's still not here. All right, let's get started. And I apologize for this. We're a little, this is the first time we've used this system, and it's like anything else you do the first time. It has a few bugs in it. When we started out on this, part of our homework assignment was we asked the folks to watch a specific set of issues and videos on marketing. I hope some of you got a chance to do that. One of the main issues that we get in questions is, why do we ask our doctors to list geo-targeting issues? And why do we want them to list their cities? Well, first of all, your cities, when you list it in your control panel and when you went through your wizard, are probably the most important things that you can put down and make sure you get right for your marketing. Google starts to rank you based on your home city where your practice is located. And that's one of the key things that we found out. Basically, there's a radius of about 7 to 9 miles surrounding your practice location that is your primary marketing relationship and system with Google. It's kind of interesting. The questions that you get all the time are, well, 7 to 9 miles, my cities or my market is much bigger. That's all right. We're going to focus your primary marketing on your home city because that's what Google wants. Then you move out in a radius of 7 to 9 miles and you try to fill in with your most important cities. Now, when you do this on your control panel, it's pretty straightforward. Hopefully you can see my screen. Michelle, can you see that screen?
No, I cannot.
Okay, that's not good. So let me hang on, and I'm going to try with that. Share, and I'm going to go over here, and hopefully that came up. Michelle, do you see anything now?
Yes, I do.
All right. Every once in a while you win one. All right. So what you've got here is your Leadfire control panel. And you start off with your normal controls. And if you want to get to your geo-targeting, you can go this way and just hit this button, which is pretty straightforward. Or you can go over here to your practice location and lay it out that way. So you've got, in this case, my sample is Tiburon Dental Care. Or I can go in this way. So I'm going to go this way. And this is where you put in your 5 cities. Now, I'm in Tiburon, so I lay that out that way. And if I want to edit that, it's pretty straightforward. I just hit the pencil icon. And I can take this out and put in the city, the state, and the zip code. It's really important that you give us the zip code because we also market your practice and your locations and all of your directory listings based on zip code. So we want to have that exactly as correct as you can make it. So if I go out of here, I cancel out, and you can list 5 cities. Now if you have any questions, it's pretty straightforward. You just hit the instructions button. And furthermore, you can switch over to watch a video by pressing the How Do I button, and it will give you a list of videos specific to this page. So it's pretty straightforward in listing it. Now sometimes people search in your area based on a geographic location. One of the classic ones is up in Pennsylvania's Lehigh County or Lehigh Valley area. And people actually search that way for Lehigh Valley Dentist. It covers about, maybe 5 or 10 different towns. And so you can put in whatever designator you want. Now, one of the things you have to be careful about is if you're in a big city like Chicago, when you list yourself in Chicago, it's really tough to get a ranking with the search engines. And I'll get into why we do things later about targeting specific types of services. But the ranking issue here says if you're in Chicago, that's your first city. And it's going to cover the next probably 35 miles going out practically. It's a major issue. So you want to pick neighborhoods within Chicago. And neighborhoods are pretty straight up. You can have Lincoln Park, Brookfield, Gold Coast, things of that nature. Those are the areas and neighborhoods that people identify with. And if you're in a major metropolitan area, you want to make sure that you list the local neighborhoods that are closest to you that you're part of. So one of the main things is do that, and you'll get more new patients that way, because most people will select a dentist within a 7.5 to 8 mile radius of their home. And that's just the reality. Now, if you're a suburban area, it might go a little better for you. Or if you're in a rural area, and I've got a great doctor in Goliad, Texas, which is right in the middle of nowhere. He's actually got cities that he's listed that are as much as 50 to 75 miles away from him. But the reality is he has some really high-level clinical skills, and people will travel for that distance in order to get a sedation dentist. Let me see if I can get that down. So part of this issue is you always want to list all the cities you can. Now, when you go back to your control panel, you'll notice that here's the geo markets, the geographic markets. It's real easy to find them. And you can adjust them at any time. And the tighter they are to your practice, the better. The other thing you'll see up here is your location information for your practice. Now, we have a lot of doctors with multiple locations, so that's not a problem. We have some with 3 to 5, 6 locations. And we'll target around each different location that you have. As you move over here, you want to verify this information. This is the name of your dental practice, your address, and so forth all the way through. This is pretty basic and straightforward. We do want your state. We want your phone number, but most important, this is the back-end number for the most part, but most important, you want to make sure your appointment phone number is properly done. And you want to make sure it's right there, because that's where people are going to call you. That's how it's going to get passed to you. We also need your fax number, because your leads, if they come in by email, will not only be emailed, but they will be faxed to you. Telephone leads go direct to you. We want your suburban, or rural or urban area delineated. This helps us in determining how many websites you're going to get and how best to expand out your market. If you're in a rural area, we'll understand cities that are far away. Geographic region, San Francisco Bay Area. And then finally, we want your county or parish. We're pretty straightforward on this. The reason is a lot of people now we find are searching by county. And we build separate pages for each one of your geographic markets and your county. Let me give you an example. Take a look at that. That's a practice in Florida, Surfside. And if you look at this very carefully, you'll see everything is tied together with your basic home city. This doctor is in Surfside, Florida, right there. And we tie that together because we're marketing him for root canals, a specific issue, and I'll come back to that in a little bit. And then we have Surfside Root Canal. We design your domain name to include your geographic location, because Google will see that right off the bat, and they'll know that you're in Surfside and that you're offering root canals. Now, we probably have 4 or 5 different websites and services for this, so it makes a difference. So we have Surfside Root Canal, endodontics. Now, these are the other markets this doctor works in. Sunny Isles, Miami Beach, Aventura, and South Miami Beach areas. These are his geographic targets. Now let's go down to the bottom of the page and I'll show you why this is really important that we get all this correctly, because it'll make a major difference. We go down in the section More Information, and what you can see here is our links to other pages, other geographic marketing pages. So we have Root Canal, Aventura, and when I hit that, it takes us to a separate page that looks a lot like your home page. It has Root Canal, Endodontics, Aventura, but that's all. You'll also see down here that all this copy is different from your home page. A lot of it looks the same, but in reality, all the copy underneath there is different. We market each one of these separately. If we have duplicate copy, it's a real problem. So we actually write up different sets of copy and make sure that every one of your geo-targeted pages is different from your home page, because Google doesn't like duplicate copy. Now that's a big issue, so I just want to make sure that everybody has that. Michelle, I think you're still there. Do you have any things on this that you'd like to say?
No, I think you've covered the majority of the highlights.
Okay. Has Julie got on yet? Probably not. Doesn't sound like it. So let's go back, and the next question we've got to deal with is why we build, we build out every one of these special things, but, oh, hold it, I got a question in from a doctor right now. It's a doctor from Dallas, Texas. I won't give out your name, Jay. There was a message there a while back up in the upper right-hand corner as we were setting this whole thing up in, here we go, in your control panel. The message says this site uses a plugin, Silverlight, that will soon be unsupported. A lot of people ask me about this, and the bottom line here is Google, who is behind Chrome, which is the browser I'm using, has decided they're not going to support a Microsoft product. They're not going to support a lot of companies' different products in their browser. And the easy solution to this is just to use another browser to get into your control panel. The other side of this is we're actually doing some reprogramming, so this won't be a major issue. But you can use the Microsoft browser, you can use Firefox, you can use Opera, you can use any number of other browsers to get into your control panel when this comes into effect in September. Hopefully by then we'll have some reprogramming so this won't even be an issue. But that's what that means. Don't get worried about it. You'll be able always to get into your control panel from Leadfire. All right, I see we have another question. Jim, why do you stress multiple websites when one could do the job? Okay. Everything on the internet starts with rankings, and all new patients that come in through the internet that are finding you on the internet are going to find you when they search for you for a specific service on the internet. That's one of the tough things here. So 80% of all searchers, all people using the internet for search, use Google. Now, if we can get you to rank with Google, you'll also do well with Microsoft and you'll do well with Yahoo. That's the thing you've got to remember. So we always focus on Google because that's 80% of the search, and generally we always end up doing very well on Microsoft and Yahoo. Now, when you only have one website, the Googlebot looks at it. Now, Googlebot is a robotic thing that comes through and searches your website to determine what services you're offering. And they have to be able to understand exactly what's going on. That's an interesting thing. I hope that that shows up. So when the Googlebot comes through your website, and this is a sample website, the first thing it sees is you're in Surfside. Okay, that's fine. And you're a root canal doctor. Right off the bat, your domain name says that. Right underneath your area called Bar Harbor, Smiles, root canal doctor. I'm getting a bit of an echo, so I'm going to turn down my speaker here. And hopefully I'll be able to hear that in a different way shortly. We have Bar Harbor, so they see it's root canal. Again, root canal. Now, it's really obvious at this point that this website is focused on root canals. So when we search for root canals in Bar Harbor, let's see what that comes up to be. Let's see if I got that. Well, I'm going to search for root canal. I'll just do it this way. Root canal, Surfside, where he lives. Shot here. Sure enough, these are the results. Right here, we have several responses. We have 2 responses for that website on the first page of Google, number 3 and number 4. So we hit that. That takes us into here. It's very clear to Google that this is about root canals. When you have multiple services that you're featuring on your website, Google oftentimes gets confused. So if you have 20 different clinical services that you're featuring on your site, they don't know how to rank you as one above another. That's not to say that sometimes you're not going to rank for a couple of them. And most good websites will give you some good ranking. But the issue here is if you have multiple things that you really want to focus on and you want to be on the top first page, second page of Google, it's best, and it's considered best practices, to put together a separate website. Now, a separate website featuring root canals is fine. You can have one for cosmetic, implants, TMJ. I think we've got 27 different categories that we focus on, and we know that people are using the internet to find doctors specific to that. So when you focus tightly on a specific thing, you will get ranked higher. The other side of that is on each one of these things, we can make sure that all the copy is right and specific to root canal, because if we look at this, this is the copy that the potential patient sees. And it says Surfside tooth pain relief. Believe it or not, tooth pain is the second most searched term when it comes to root canal. So people have tooth pain and they understand or think they have a specific problem that could be a root canal, and they look for tooth pain relief. So this one is recall, recare. All these different pages get indexed because they're on the site. And obviously they'll search for root canal. All right, so that's our issue on that side. The other issue that you have to understand is when you put up the different clinical things, we design different websites, and we have a set of root canal directories across the country. So we need to know, and we'll focus you on those directories, which actually takes me to the next question that I've got that just came in. Clinical skills. Let me go back here and talk somewhat about clinical skills, because this is how we decide what areas we want to list you in. So for clinical skills, we go into, let's see if I can find it, shouldn't be too tough, clinical skills right here. Now this is where you select your clinical skills that we're going to use to feature you. And we're going to feature you not just on websites, but on directories across the country. So it's important that you list the maximum number of clinical skills, every clinical skill that you've got. And in this case, you can look through this list and you can open up any one of them, and then I want you to go through and select just about everything you can think of in each area that you have in your practice. So under braces, orthodontics, if you do 6-month braces, I want to hear about it. 6-month smiles. Braces, obviously, if you do any kind of braces. If you do Invisalign, even though you're not an orthodontist, you do Invisalign, you're a general practitioner, that's fine. You'll notice down here, you have a chance for orthodontics, and you say, it says, I am an orthodontist. If you are a board-certified orthodontist or certified as an orthodontist in your area, go ahead and check that. We'll give you and target you using a website specifically for orthodontists. Now, as you check each one of these, you can see that you got clear braces, you got braces for adults, and so forth. Each time you check one of these, it gives us materials we can use to differentiate you in your website and your marketing for your different directories and websites. So it's important to list everything. Children. Now, this is pretty straight up. You're either a pedodontist or you accept children in your practice. That's fine. If you take children in your practice, list this. If you don't want children, that's another issue. Personally, a lot of parents send their children in, see how well you do with them. If you treat them and they're okay, the parents and the, especially the dad will come in eventually. Cosmetic. Now I know virtually every doctor out there these days does cosmetic dentistry. A lot of you call it aesthetic dentistry. You have a section like that, or it's part of your name. Be sure to check it off if you use that term in your practice. If not, don't do it. If you do bonding, dental bridges, dental crowns, all these different things. Lumineers is, believe it or not, one of those terms that is actually searched on. Porcelain crowns and so forth, veneers are also searched on. If you now, if you do wedding day specials, we'll actually do a little section on that on your website automatically. It'll come up. The other thing is, and this is really important, if you give a free smile analysis, be sure to check that, because what we will do is add an option on your website that promotes a free smile analysis. And this is one of my favorite things, because people will actually fill out this form for a free smile analysis. They send in all this telling you exactly what they think is wrong with their smile, and we tell them that you'll be booked in for a short 5 to 10 minute review. Your staff does that in advance. You walk in, and here's a person who is sitting in your chair. You've got a complete list of everything they're concerned about, and you can sit down and do case presentation, essentially, on what they can do to clean up their smile. This is one of those things that is super, super important. It's an easy way to get new patients into practice for a high-value clinical services. Now, some of you have an issue in your practices or your states where you can't use the word free. That's all right. When you determine you can do a free smile analysis, you have the option to delete the word free. So that's one of those things that happens, and one of the things we can cover, and we can take out the word free. And if at any time you have a problem, you can call Michelle Simmons in our support group. Deidre's also there, and they will be glad to walk you through this, help you get into your control panel if you've lost your password or anything like that. They're there 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and they're really good about that kind of stuff. All right, down here you have a link for dental financing. We actually don't, we talk about dental financing in your practice, so in your website. So we want to know what's your dental payment, if you have dental payment plans that are available, whether you have Visa, MasterCard, Discovery. The more of these you can list, the better, because we'll feature them on your website. You have to remember, the patient visiting your website wants to know that they can afford to do the dentistry. They want to know all the options about payment structures and payment plans in your practice. So you want to list everything that you have available in your practice. That's one of the key things. As I go through this, be sure to check off issues around any of the different groups, like care credit that you offer. Any of these, and these logos will automatically be placed on your websites and in your profiles on your directory listings. If you offer dental hygiene, obviously you should list it. I think just about everybody does, except some of the specialists, so you want to put that in. Most of you are all involved with dentistry, so if you only want adults, put that down. This is an area where you can, make sure of those types of things. If you offer emergency dental care, that's important, obviously. Most of you will do hygiene. Family dentistry, some of you are in states which require you to list whether you're a family dentist or a general dentist, so be sure to list that, and so forth. If you have things like NTI and mouth guards, be sure to list that, and we'll make sure that that gets into your website. Dentures, really straightforward. A lot of doctors don't like to do dentures, and it always amazes me, because there are some great courses out there within a weekend that'll teach you how to do dentures and really enjoy it and make sure the patient is happy. So I'm really pleased about that. from a business point of view, it's one of those things that really works well. So I strongly recommend if you do dentures, at least list them. An extra denture patient is worth a lot of money when it's all said and done. So gum disease, this is interesting, especially if you're doing any kind of advanced perio work with your periodontal therapy, with your team, with your hygiene team. Make sure you get it in there. If you're using Perio Protect, that's fine. Make sure you list it. And if you can give us any ideas on other services or treatments that you want listed in this kind of directory, please send them in to us. Implants. Doctors, I got a lot of doctors. The two most marketed areas in dentistry are cosmetic and implants. That's really good, and I don't mind if you focus your sites on that, and we'll make sure to get you in those directories. But it's highly competitive, and it's really difficult in many cases to get good rankings. So if you do this, and be sure to list that you do your implants, and we'll do the best we can to get you out there. Root canals. A lot of doctors don't like root canals. They send them directly, if they've got a root canal patient, they send them directly to the endodontist. I'm okay with that. But you make the diagnosis. You send the patient to the endodontist. He can do the root canal. You'll get it back, and you'll have the crown. And that's good $1,200 net after the cost of the crown on an average across the United States. Make sure that if you do root canals, even if you just send them out, make sure that you check that off. And it's one of those areas that, believe it or not, there are a lot of people online looking for a doctor for root canals. I can't believe it. I think they were diagnosed with a root canal. The treatment plan was presented, but the doctor never explained what a root canal really was. And he may have even made a referral out to an endodontist, and people just sat there and said, I don't know what's going on here. This is going to be expensive. Then they go on the internet and they look for somebody who can explain root canals, and that's one reason we do a featured site on root canals, so they can get the explanation. By the way, we never show those ugly pictures or diagrams of anybody drilling anything or cutting into the jaw. We try to avoid that as much as possible on our sites because it turns people off. I know that doctors really kind of get into the clinical side, but from a sales point of view, you don't want any ugly pictures. All right. So root canals, endodontics, root canal, just check it off. Sedation. Now, quite honestly, sedation is one of those areas that's one of my personal favorites. I'm the co-founder of the Dental Organization for Conscious Sedation, and I dropped out of the organization a couple years ago when I went into semi-retirement, but I really support oral conscious sedation and all kinds of sedation. So you want to make sure you check off any kind of sedation you do, because highly fearful patients are good patients. They've let their dentistry go for 10 years or more in many cases, and so there's a lot of work that can be done. I personally just had my wisdom teeth done, and I had my post placed for an implant, and I used oral conscious sedation with my prosthodontist, and then my regular dentist, he took out those wisdom teeth and he put that post in, and then my regular dentist came back and did the crown. Actually used a Cerac machine for
Peter
it.
dictates
my first Cerac
to his
crown.
computer.
I was really
He
impressed.
prefers it to typing.
So you want to list any
pen and paper.
sedation that you do and what you offer, even if it's just nitrous oxide.
He prefers it to typing.
Now I think I've got Julie in, and let me turn this back up. I think she's finally got in. Julie, say something to me.
Hi, I'm sorry. I thought my microphone was muted.
Okay. So
well,
now
I got my audio going.
Okay. So from my perspective, as you go through these, check off all the ones that make a difference. If you want to expand them all, just do that. Sedation regulations, if you know what your sedation regulations for your state are, fine. Some states say, you can be listed as sedation dentistry, minimal sedation, anxiety-free, relaxed dentistry. If you don't know, just say that and we'll pretty much figure it out for you. Sleep apnea. Hey, I'm a guy who just went through a full analysis for me for sleep apnea. And when we do a sleep apnea site, we focus on snoring and stopping snoring. So it's a good thing to do. If that's what you're into, do that. TMJ, God bless you if you do TMJ, because those are tough patients. Just leave your note there and tell us you do that, and we can focus there. Tooth whitening. tooth whitening is important as one of those things we list on your sites because a lot of people want tooth whitening as an intro to cosmetic dentistry. So I really think that that's one of those things you want to do on a regular basis. Oral surgery. If you do wisdom tooth or wisdom tooth removal, oral surgery, fine. Make sure you list it. Oral surgeons, of course, make sure that that's there. Now we have a little section at the end that's on technology. CIREC, Diagnodent, Visalite, Waterlace. These are important things. And we can feature these products on your website. It gives you more credibility. And some people are actually searching this way. So somebody says, it's down here at the bottom, it tells me I haven't completed sedation. So I have to say, okay, I'm in anxiety-free state, whatever. Okay. So that's how you do your clinical skills.
Hey, Jim, I'd like to ask a question about these clinical skills.
What's the question, Julie?
Well, when you're listing the clinical skills, is the doctor supposed to list all of the clinical skills that the doctor has, that the practice offers, or only where they're specifically looking for new patients?
Okay. Remember, our issue here is making the best presentation to your patients and making sure we target them. So we want you to list all your clinical skills that you perform at this practice. Now, if you have multiple doctors, this is an important issue. You list your clinical skills that you have at this location as the senior doctor. Then you make sure that you've listed all the skills for any additional doctors that you may have, associates or specialists who may be coming into your practice. And that's a really important issue because it expands your footprint, your universe on the internet, and we can then market you in multiple markets for multiple services. So it's an important thing. All right. What's the next question, Julie?
I'd like to mention that we've gotten a question in the chat from Suzanne who would like a little clarification. She asks, so are you saying that the purpose of having multiple websites is to have each one focus on a different clinical service that we offer?
Yes. The issue here is, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, the issue is very straightforward. Google looks at a website, and if there's just one website and they're trying to cover multiple clinical services on one website, and they're not featuring or emphasizing any one clinical service, Google gets confused. It sees 20 different things listed on a website, everything from wisdom tooth removal to laser tooth whitening. And it can't figure out what is your primary focus. So as a result, what we see quite often is that none of those services ranks on the first 2 pages of Google. When you focus on a specific service with a website, it will rank much higher, much higher. And that's one of the that's one of the issues. Whoops, well, I just had my screen out here, come back. It's one of the reasons why we focus on a website, specifically with one clinical skill. We talk about the other things, and that's why we have you list all your clinical skills, because it gives credibility to your marketing, to your presentation as a doctor. You have to remember, it doesn't cost you any more if you're a pay-per-lead, pay-per-performance client with us. It doesn't cost you any more to have multiple websites. We take that risk. We look at the clinical skills that you have, and we decide, okay, you are ranking well for A, B, and C. You might be already ranking well for cosmetic or implants. That's fine. We don't want to compete with where you're currently ranking. That doesn't make any sense, because we're spending a lot of money and a lot of energy to put out multiple websites for specific skills you have, and we want to make sure we're marketing in areas that you're currently not ranking for on the internet. So we'll put out tooth removal or wisdom teeth or TMJ or dentures or root canal. Or if you're not ranking for cosmetic or implant, we'll use those topics and we'll do specific sites on those issues. So that's why we approach this.
So how does Leadfire do that? How does Leadfire decide where there might be holes in the marketing, and how does Leadfire fill those holes?
Okay, well, that was going to be for next week, but I'll let everybody in on a thing we're working on. We have a really great programming team that are real experts in analyzing the internet and understanding what consumers are searching for. So one of the new tools that we're going to be introducing and we're going to be using with all of our current clients and potential new clients is a tool where you just list your email address, your current websites, and your city and state. And then what we will do is we will go down and we will analyze it. Excuse me, you also list your clinical skills. And we're going to do this automatically on our current clients. So we look at your current websites, and then we go through and we do a search on everything that you have listed for clinical skills. So for this system, we'll search for this particular doctor. Let's collapse all. We know that he does braces. Okay, he may have an orthodontic background, and he does braces, or he does Invisalign. He does gum disease. He does, he does all these different things: implants, root canal, sedation. If he's not ranking, and he has listed sleep apnea, then we will do a sleep apnea site. Our goal here is not to compete with your current sites. We have doctors that we work with 5 to 6 current IDA sites and 1 or 2 that aren't IDA websites, Leadfire sites. That's okay. If you've got a current site, you should keep it unless it's really not working for you. And we add and target markets that you're not listing in, and that's where we're different from just about anybody else that we know. The other thing, and the reason we do that, is we also use a system of national directories to list you on. So when you look at all of these different areas, everything that's green in here means that we're going to list you on one of our national directories. This is an example of a national directory. This one's for root canal. But if you look down here, you'll see that we have national directories for all sorts of different issues, including issues around wisdom teeth, dental financing, dental insurance. By the way, if you offer dental insurance and if you accept dental insurance and so forth, it's an important area we'll get to later. But the #1 most searched on term in dentistry is dental insurance. It's kind of depressing in many ways, but if somebody is looking for a doctor that accepts their dental insurance, you want to make sure that if you accept dental or Delta Dental, that they're going to use and find your site. So that's one of the things you just learn in doing dentistry. So the dental directories, there are 16 of them, national, and about 100 or 480 local dental directories. When a patient's looking for a root canal dentist, and they put in their zip code, you click here, and it comes up with a list of all the doctors within about a 30-mile radius of their zip code. And these are all IDA Leadfire doctors in the southern Florida area around that zip code. Now these are really interesting because doctors, they're listed in terms of the distance from the center of that zip code. They're prioritized. This is the first one that came up, which is our friend who does root canals, and they're on a root canal site. As you can see, all of their Visa, MasterCard, all these credit cards are all listed, all these services. So people looking at this can immediately see that this doctor is going to accept Visa, so forth, and it's going to make financing easy. The other thing is there's a map right here. It's an interactive map. They can see exactly where he's located. I'm not sure, I don't know this area real well, but I guess this is a real nice area. And at any time, they can make an appointment right here. And it's real simple. Enter their first name, last name, and so forth, postal code. And this gets emailed to you and a fax. And it's important for anything that is form fill. Anybody requesting an appointment that's emailed to you, that you respond immediately. And we know that a lot of you don't check your emails, so we fax. And we want the front desk to be calling immediately. So it's one of those issues that you got to get into. If they want more information, they can meet the doctor right here. Now, this is why we gather all this information from you. First thing they want to know, quite honestly, is dental insurance information. And because so many of them want to use dental insurance as a way to cut the cost of their dentistry. So we want you to list every insurance company that you're involved with, and it helps give differentiation for this right here, so in the system for your practice. The other thing is we have all your issues about who you are. This is your philosophy and anything else you want to put into this system. List all the things you do. This side you can put in your logo, and everywhere we ask, they want you to call them and so forth right here, make an appointment, or visit the website. As you go down, when you hit what we offer, here you've got everything about quality Surfside endodontic treatment. Okay, Google loves these pages. They rank really high with the search engines. And down as you move down, these are your service areas. These are the links from your directories to your websites. Now, links are very important because Surfside root canal goes directly to the doctor's root canal site. Now, when you get down here to Sunny Isles root canal treatment, you click that, and it takes you to the website, the doctor, and it talks about Sunny Isles. So someone who is that close to Surfside, Sunny Isles is close, is going to find that link, and it's going to give you authority with the search engines. So one reason we want you on as many directories as possible is because the directory links that you have back to your website give you authority. There's two things that work to get you ranked. One, you have a technically perfect website. Okay, well, we do that programmatically. We automatically build your websites with the information you've given us, all of your history as a doctor, all your clinical skills, which get listed here, and the benefits that you're offering in your practice. And we'll talk about benefits next week. Every link that goes back to your IDA website gives you authority with the search engines. And that authority and the combination of a great website puts you at the top of the search engines. Now, how long does it take to get to the top? That's a question I just see came through. Nothing is instantaneous on the internet. It can sometimes take Google up to 3 weeks to even index a website. Now, we try to speed that up because the links from the different directories make sure that your website gets indexed or at least looked at quickly. It evaluates them and then posts them. Now, initially, some people are on the first page of Google with multiple listings. I'll show you some of those next week and some of the issues that come up. But the reality is it's going to take at least a month to get a good listing and moving you up, and it takes time. One of the things is we're slowly building with more links to your practice. We have links coming from other doctors, and we have links coming from your local directories. We don't like to load in all of the interlinking system immediately because it doesn't look natural with Google. Google doesn't mind the links. They're all legitimate. Everything we do is what we call white hat search engine optimization. We don't take risk with our doctors. We don't take risk with our clients, their new patient flow, or quite honestly with our own livelihood. We've got about 500 different practices that we work with across North America. That's US and Canada. We have over 1,000 websites, individual doctor websites, and we have another 500 directories. All of them are designed to drive patients to your practice, to get you the highest possible ranking with a search engine, and then show them a website that's really going to meet their need immediately. So this is a guy who's he's on a root canal directory, or he's found this page because it gets indexed well with the search engine. He's found out about the doctor. He knows what the benefits are, the insurance are. He knows he has a map in hours. He can go any way he wants. He can make the map bigger. He can move it around, do whatever he wants to see what happens. The important thing is listing your map and hours and holidays and so forth. All of those are available to you to make this really a good listing. The more data we get, the better it will be. When it comes to your website, it says visit our website right there. It takes you right here. And this website screams root canal, because when a person comes in, they're looking for a root canal doctor. And they're looking in that southern Florida area. They want to see root canal right away. They want to see it in the domain name. They want to see it right on the page, and it says root canal everywhere you look. They're in the right place. If they don't see root canal and it's too confusing for them, if they just see a big happy picture somewhere, quite honestly, that's not going to cut it. They'll be gone in less than 14 seconds. But now they know. Now, quite honestly, we've got all this other stuff on here. New patient appointment links, recare recall, free smile analysis, convenient financial terms. All of this is things that people want to see if they're interested in convenient financing and insurance. We also have sections, other clinical areas. We don't emphasize these like we do root canal. We talk about dental implants, wisdom teeth, and dentures. These have a lot of relationship with the root canal issues, believe it or not. If Google sees that, they know that you're not just a root canal doctor, but there are other things that are called cross-linking issues that we'll get into in later seminars and webinars, that this makes a difference. But we really focus on the root canal issue. And this person, the main thing they see is call for an appointment or make an appointment. Multiple times on this page. Everywhere you turn around, it's appointment links, recare, recall, all of this. And the big thing is call for an appointment. And you click on that, and this is the phone number, the 800 number, which goes directly to your practice. And that is automatically recorded. It's a new patient, meets all the HIPAA requirements, and we check that to see if it's a valid lead. And I'll get into that a little bit more next week. But this really works, folks. We generate a ton of leads. In the last couple of years, we've generated more than 60,000 validated leads for our dentists in the last 2.5, 3 years. That's a lot of new patients. Do they all become patients? No. No one has 100% conversion rate. But 80% is not uncommon. And I've given you a lot of tools for that, and hopefully we'll have time to get into that in the future. Julie, any other questions? Because I'm getting carried away here.
Yes, I think we have time just for one more question. And Jim, if you could actually click the back button and go back 2 pages on your browser, that might be useful. Back, sorry, that's not what I meant. I was thinking it might be useful to see one of the directory pages of results where we see all the doctors that are listed in an area. There's plenty of other ways you could illustrate the answer to this question, because the question goes back to the homework that some of the people did before this session, one of which was about how you can set up your doctor photo, or what we call promotional photo, for not just your website but your entire profile. And I was talking to a doctor, Jim, who really was wondering, why do you put so much emphasis on making sure that you have a good doctor or promotional photo? What's the benefit to that? Are you there, Jim? Well, I'm not sure that Jim is available to answer that question, so why don't I have a go at it myself? It's looking like Jim's computer might have frozen, but let me explain to you what you're all looking at right here. We've got a list of doctors. This is inside of the control panel. We've got a list of the doctors who work at the practice, and you'll see that there's a photo of each doctor. Now, when you go to a doctor's details in the control panel, as we see here, this is a place where you can load the doctor photo. You can also load a doctor video. In this one, you can see we have just a sample video loaded, but that's a place where you could put a welcome video for the doctor. So in the control panel, we've got places for individual doctor photos, which you'll see when on the website you go to any individual doctor's profile to learn more about the doctor. But there's another thing, which is what we call the promotional photo, which is the photo that shows up first. That's the main photo for the entire practice. Now, if you've got a single doctor or just one senior doctor, it might be a photo of that doctor. If you have multiple practitioners, you may have a photo of multiple practitioners, although we would definitely caution against including too many people in the photo. You would only want the senior partners. You'd want them positioned close together, so it would make an attractive picture. But really what you're looking for in this picture is warmth and friendliness. You don't need to look Hollywood. You don't need to look glamorous. No one's looking for you to be utterly beautiful. They are looking for a doctor who seems friendly and approachable. And that is what this doctor photo can accomplish. It can really create a personal connection with a prospective new patient online. And that is the thing that can really set you apart from other dentists online. Okay, I'm not sure if we've got your audio back yet. It doesn't seem like it. So I think that this is enough, and I will wrap up this webinar myself. It's been such a pleasure to have you all join us. We're looking forward to doing this on a weekly basis. This was the first, and we look forward to continuing it. We will be emailing you each week, letting you know what's coming up for that week's webinar, which we'll be doing on Fridays. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Remember, you can always submit your questions ahead of time. We can answer them in the webinar. Also, if you're interested in talking with Jim one-on-one about your particular problems or marketing issues or just brainstorming with him, he has office hours on Wednesday afternoons and Fridays. In the email that told you about this webinar, you can find that link.
I want to thank Julie.
I look forward to seeing you next time. Jim.
I just got back. I figured out what happened and all the problems. Took me a while. I apologize for some of the rough spots in this presentation. We're using a new program for webinars, and all of a sudden they changed some stuff on us, and just like anything else, when there's a change, it's a little hard to adapt. But I promise you next week it'll be a lot smoother. I also want to stress the fact that if you have questions about things other than internet marketing, whether it be signage or location of your practice or all the different issues that come into marketing, even case presentation issues, don't hesitate to send us an email in advance, because it helps us be prepared for it. Maybe get some pictures and so forth for you, and we'll be glad to talk about it. If, again, as Julie said, if you want a private conversation, one-on-one, I'm available usually on Wednesdays and Fridays, and you can go online using the link in the email that we send you and schedule an appointment and time. I'm available, like I say, first come, first serve. So any other questions, Julie?
My only question would be, are we going to do this again sometime soon?
We'll do it again next Friday.
All right, see you there.
All right, thank you, folks.